Hello and welcome to the Labour Social on Labour Social. Tonight we're joined by Phil Morehouse and Aid Thompson and Ollie Bowler Hatman and Josh from Moving Forward and Scott. How are you all doing, everyone? Fellas, are you all right?
All right. Good evening.
Can you hear me?
What do we say? Is it happy birthday to Brexit? Or...
Happy birthday, Brexit! You terrible, terrible thing. So, Phil, you were just telling us just before we came live on air. We've got developments. Can we quickly do this sort of breaking news developments?
There's a bit of an accusations of a data grab by the Conservatives for the general election. I'm not entirely sure exactly what it's related to. It could be related to all the things they're putting out, like their tax calculator. Oh, see how much you can save. Oh, by the way, give us all your personal details so we can bombard you with campaign information come the election. And so the Good Law Project think that maybe they're overstepping the boundaries of the law. So they've written to the government, or they've basically sort of taken pre-legal action, I suppose you'd call it. And the government have written back to them with a letter, the contents of which we do not know, because the government have claimed that if Good Law Project publish it, they'll be in breach of copyright. So the contents of their letter are copyrighted. Now, this doesn't sound terribly plausible. However, obviously Good Law Project are going to take it seriously. So they're contacting lawyers who would be experts in it to see whether it's not or not the case.
Copyright.
But then Dawn Butler, who's been on this, by the way, she's not just randomly jumped up on this. She's been sort of championing this in the House of Commons. So she then retweets Jolyon Moem telling people this, and she says, not quite the actions of a party that hasn't broken the law, to basically threaten lawyers with, we're writing you this letter with what we set out, what we think is our position, but you cannot tell the public. That sounds dodgy straight away. And so she then says, I can read the letter out in full on the floor of the House, and there is nothing they'll be able to do about it. So
oh, I love it.
I hope she does it. I hope she does it.
That would be fantastic.
Fireworks before bedtime.
I do hope she gets legal advice herself first.
She's protected by parliamentary privilege.
I don't know. That doesn't allow you to break the law, though. The government are claiming copyright.
What? The government has been doing that the whole time.
Yeah, but they've got majority of MPs on their side. Like Rishi Sunak lies in Parliament all the time. If MPs could make him face a Privileges Committee inquiry like they did for Boris Johnson. It's just that not enough of the public are aware of the lie, so Tory MPs just back him. That's really all there is to it.
But that isn't a lie, though, is there?
Well, no, but he does lie on a regular basis to Parliament, deliberately lies, which is supposed to be a resigning matter.
Yeah, of course, I know, yeah. What I'm saying is that the letter isn't a lie.
Well, no.
It was written.
Yeah.
It's just an inconvenient truth.
There you go.
So do we think this is about their tax calculator? Do we think that's what
I think there's been various things they've been doing. Like even at a local level, some people have been emailing me like things they've been receiving from their local Conservative Party about, signing up for something. But it means giving them your email address and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So that's what it sounds like to me, but we will find out, I'm sure, in due course. Well, we will find out in short order if Dawn Butler does read out the letter next week.
So if they were pretending not to be the party, or if they were pretending to be the government, that would be the issue, wouldn't it?
I suppose it might well do, yeah.
Yeah.
So they do confuse the two. They often put out government things, hey, we've done this and that, and it has the Conservative Party logo on it.
Or they do electioneering using parliamentary letterheads and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's a much harder thing to prove, I guess.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I've seen a few things where they are using very, very careful language about what something might be about, and about like maybe the benefit of a bill that's just gone through, that kind of stuff. Right?
I mean, they're certainly expecting when the election campaign is called, they are expecting to make massive gains in the polls with a very dirty campaign, because you have this weird situation at the moment where they're going, there's various credible reports saying they're going hell for leather at CCHQ. This is like proper pre-election levels of activity that they cannot sustain for a whole year because it costs too much money. And you're looking at this May 2nd election. Someone even claimed today that they reckon they're going to announce it at the end of February. I'm not sure how that makes much sense, but nonetheless, aiming for a May 2nd election. And the polling at the moment says, okay, you might do even worse in autumn, and that's a good enough reason to go for May. But there's nothing to suggest you could win it in May. So they're clearly planning some very, very dirty shit.
I mean, I reckon a lot of the Conservatives are just like, they're just done with it. They just want to go home, right?
Well,
They're
I
just
think
like,
there
I
are
want a
some.
summer holiday. I don't want to be, freaking out about my November campaign.
But Rishi
Like, can we just put an end to it?
Rishi Sunak's his father-in-law's company, Emphasis, has had 1.5 billion pounds worth of deals with our government so far, and he gets a cut of that. He says he's put all of his shares in Emphasis in a blind trust, and we're not allowed to look at his wife's income and how much she's making from all this because there's some kind of like they're going, oh, she's a separate person. It's like, it's the family wealth.
Yeah, the ministerial code's quite clear. It includes partners and spouses.
And frankly, like universal credit would count her as, someone of significance financially, right? So
exactly. So yes, indeed, it's a bit rum as far as I'm concerned. Oh, we've got Wayne. Wayne has entered the chat. I will have to.
One's got a full collection.
This looks got all my Pokemon together. I don't know whether to go across or whether to go. Oh no, that doesn't look as good. Right, there we go. Wayne, can you hear us, Wayne?
I can. Like I said to you, as soon as I started, what did you find? You found your shoelace?
Wayne's got dad duty.
Okay, do you want to go and watch Elsa and Anna?
Frozen. Everyone's just sitting here going, what?
That's adorable.
All right, do you want me to put another show on for you?
I feel like this sort of content is like I love it, but not because it's cute. It is cute, but also because it's not me that's being disturbed by my child. So it's like empathetic. Like I love it.
I said in the group chat earlier, as soon as she hears me having fun, like,
she'll be like, "What's going on?"
I feel like
we are now kid friendly.
I feel like
and now you can see from the shadow.
Oh no, you can't do that.
Like a lot of people say that once they become parents, it makes them like nicer and like they love people a lot harder and more compassionately. And I feel like it's actually made me meaner. Like now I listen to people having a hard time with their toddlers. I'm like, it's amazing.
Right.
Someone else is not enjoying their day.
This one just knows where the camera is.
Right.
Keep her mouth shut.
Ask her what.
Keep my box open.
Yeah. Well, ask her what she thinks about the Brexit border stuff.
Florence, what do you think about the Brexit border stuff in Northern Ireland, especially like where the Good Friday Agreement comes into contradiction with it?
What did she say?
Fish.
Happy British fish.
Yeah. Have you seen
Nigel said a lot, didn't he? Fish.
Jeffrey Donaldson was Jeffrey Donaldson was throwing some shade Jim Alistair's way today. Did you hear that?
No.
They've obviously fallen out. It was going on because Jim Alistair obviously is like the more extreme one, the TUV.
Oh, he was live tweeting the meeting, wasn't he?
Well, wasn't that Bryson?
He was live tweeting the meeting, wasn't he?
I thought that was Jamie Bryson.
I might have got my James mixed up.
But Alistair shouldn't have even been at the meeting. He was nosing around, but he shouldn't have even been there. But no, Jeffrey Donaldson's going like, I'm delivering. I've achieved these things, even though basically this new deal isn't really a lot. It costs us more, but it doesn't do anything really. And but he's saying, but I've achieved this thing. What's he achieved? Nothing. Says he's done nothing. In fact, what he's actually done by taking votes away from us is installed, nationalists in the Stormont Executive. He's given unionists one seat fewer in the Stormont Executive, he said. He's proper going on about him saying, it's all right, him shouting and things like that. I mean, he's done nothing, absolutely delivered nothing. And I thought, well, in a way, good, because at the end of the day, it's quite weird watching this because we had like most of the countries looking at the Tories of Brexit and going, look, your ideological nut jobs. Can you stop it? Then the Tories were saying to the DUP, look, your ideological nut jobs, will you stop it? Then there was the DUP saying to the TUV, look, you're an ideological nut job, because only one of them. Can you stop it? So it's this like almost like a Russian doll of loonies. And so, yeah, Donaldson's obviously decided, just like Chris Heaton-Harris over the last year has decided he can't be arsed with the DUP. And every time Sammy Wilson stands up in the House of Commons to have a moan, he just basically tells him to shut up. So now Donaldson's saying that to Alistair. So it's all kicking off. But there's this really weird thing as well, because Alistair's having a gripe about this latest deal. And he's effectively blaming Brexit for the problems they've got, because he's wanting the active union now. They were wanting, like, they realized they can't actually have the active union go back to its like 1800 form, because that's a little bit, you know, the horse has bolted on that one some time ago. So they're now wanting it reset to when we were in the EU. So they're basically saying the problems are basically down to Brexit.
Mm. Yeah.
Brexit. That was the big thing we were going to talk about tonight.
Were there any experts that might have predicted any of this?
Wow.
You didn't have to be an expert. That's the most frustrating thing. They were like, oh, we're sick of experts. So we were like, well, we're not experts.
This is why.
You listen to us. They're like, no.
Yeah. This is, this is why it's you have to, you know, you need people on your side. You need to persuade people to change their minds, and you need people to be comfortable saying they were conned and, you know, coming back. But at the same time, you just think, but you chose to ignore experts. Because if you look at any debate that ever happened, sometimes you get debates, and you did get debates that were between people like us, like political commentators, right? And probably that shouldn't have happened at all. But there were debates where you had a trade expert or a logistics expert or a farming expert or, you know, or an expert on the Good Friday Agreement. And they were never paired with another expert. They were always paired with someone with zero experience in that field. You had trade most famously Pascal Lamy with Andrea Leveson, but you had other ones where you had an actual trade expert who worked in UK, EU trade against someone who had never traded so much as a grapefruit in their life. And you had the same thing with logistics, the same thing with farming, the same thing with medicines, you know, the same thing with everything. You know, you would have an expert, you would never have an expert paired with another expert.
Yeah, but that's the same with climate change. It's the same with tobacco as well.
Yeah.
Do you remember the footage of, like, back in the day when Nigel Farage was hosting a show on LBC, and he's taking a phone in, and this very polite, very sort of courteous sounding lady phones up, and she's a vet, or she works within a vet sort of industry.
Yeah, I remember that.
And she was like, you know, you're saying all this stuff, like, where are we already have a vet shortage. Where are we supposed to find all these? And he's literally like, well, if we need more vets, we'll just we'll find more vets, and then we'll pay them to come in. It's like, oh, so you want immigrants, do you? It's just this sort of dismissive, disparaging, anti-expertise approach to everything. And you're right to point it out that it's now being rolled out across, like, the net zero space. It was rolled out across the pandemic space also. It's just this sort of fundamental pushback on somebody who might know better.
Ironically, of course, they're presenting the fact that they clearly are experts in this, right? So, like, you know, don't listen to experts, but also we're experts. We've got your best interests, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I was talking to Femi earlier today, and we were going back through some of his greatest hits when he used to call into LBC. Do you remember when Nigel Farage was a presenter on LBC? And there was a clip of Femi. This is from 6 years ago. And he said, what you're doing with Brexit is going to mean more immigration, not less. And it was just like... That's exactly, you know, what people were saying that long ago, and that's exactly the situation we've got. So sometimes you want to listen to the experts.
There's just so many phone calls on radio stations and interviews like that throughout the years. We've got to, at some point, like, have a collation of this and get all these together at some point. That's got to be a project worth doing. Just collating all these, but there'll be thousands of hours worth of footage to go through and troll through together.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I sometimes think to myself, whenever some chickens are coming home to roost, I think to myself, look, I've been talking about this for several years. I really should have been keeping the receipts.
Yeah.
Right, because I keep doing it, and I never do. I keep thinking right from the start, right, this is obviously going to blow up in a year or two. I should really just chronicle it all. So I've all got it in one place when the shit hits the fan. I never do.
I've seriously considered going like, I know it's a sort of staple of communism, isn't it? That you should keep documents and track everything in spreadsheets or whatever. The only time I've done it is when the Lawrence Fox stuff was kicking off, and I was like, there's so much going on with this. This was about like a month ago. I was like, I'm going to go. And also my daughter had woken me up at like 4 a.m. I was like, this is a good use of my time. Like, I'm awake anyway. I'll just go through every single juncture of that court case, of the people that testified, of the bother that he got himself in. But you're right, like with Brexit, with party politics, with promises that have been made by the Tories along the way, like you kind of have to do something like that to keep track of it, because the news cycle moves so quickly. And there's so many dead cats and there's so many distractions that if you don't kind of keep some sort of whiteboard with a load of post-it notes on it behind you,
Josh.
No, you need the cork board with a red string.
Yeah.
This is what
one agenda.
Can I just tell a little bit of a cautionary tale about this? Because at the beginning of January last month, I thought, right, this is it. I'm going to dig out my tapes from my journey to every country in the world, and I'm going to make a video from each week of me traveling from my footage. And I then decided after 2 weeks of editing that maybe I'll just make the first day. I'll just do the first day of traveling, and I still haven't finished editing it. And it's probably about 80 hours of editing so far that I've done on it.
Are you saying that, like, so documenting the mishaps and lies and whatever, like it's a lot of work? Is that?
There's just no time. If you could pause time, I want that to be my superpower. You know, when people say, what would be your superpower? I don't want to fly. I don't want to see the future. I just want to be able to pause time.
Shall I tell you what my superpower? Shall I tell you what my superpower always like my friends would be like, I want to fly. I wish I had a laser gun coming out. I was like, I wish that if I pointed my fingers at somebody in like a ray gun sort of gesture and I sort of pretended to shoot them, I could immediately make them need a shit. Like, so anyone that annoyed me in any situation,
right.
Baff, and then oh god, I gotta leave.
You've reminded me of a story from years ago about the shit gun. Do you remember the shit gun?
No.
Yeah,
it sounds like similar.
Yeah, wasn't it something that was like meant to control crowds and stuff? Basically, it's like some sort of sonic thing. Yeah.
I mean, there was
a certain frequency made people, if you fired it at them, it would make them like go straight away need a shit.
There was
love it.
There was a literal thing like that with Tesla and Mark Twain, wasn't there? So they were friends, Nikola Tesla and Mark, and obviously Tesla was a bit of an inventor. And Mark Twain was explaining how terrible constipation, and Tesla, I've invented something for that. And he told him to sit down on this thing. It just basically vibrated for a while. And Tesla at one point said, that's enough now. You just go to the toilet. And he said, oh no, I'm enjoying it. And he basically shat himself.
Excellent.
Hey,
Where do we go from there?
I don't know. What other superpowers would we like?
I was going back to a serious talk for a moment. I went back. Remember?
Good luck, mate.
Oh man, all right. I'll get a whiskey. Hang on. No, I was going. Do you remember Michael Dugan, a professor from Liverpool, right? Who I think he did like a 25-minute talk about basically, the real relationship between the UK and the European Union. And it is just one of those long lists of, countering every piece of disinformation. So there were people out. I mean, I think that was 2015 he did that video. There were so many of us doing it.
Yeah.
It's like, but I think the thing is, we still need to say stuff because we're still thinking, well, how do we win the argument, right? So we were shit at winning the argument before, and just bringing it all back up again.
I mean, what needs to happen now? I mean, they are sort of right in terms of the not going back. What needs to happen is to focus on the the Brexiteers were trying to focus on the benefits of leaving, which just haven't existed. So we need now to focus on the benefits of rejoining, almost as if we never had them. You know, as if it's moved on, there's extra benefits. For example, we've got this Japanese trade deal. It's not as good as, because as it happens, the EU negotiated a Japanese trade deal basically the same, well, earlier actually, theirs came in, but it's come online. So it's better than ours. So we can focus on things like that. I mean, I've just done a video for tomorrow. There's a business that's had to close, and it's not closed because it couldn't handle the paperwork. It doesn't supply customers in Europe. It's a shop. It's a high street shop, sells lamps, sells lights. But it had to buy them from the EU. And because they can't be asked with the paperwork, they won't supply it. So his business has got a 10-year business, thriving business, it's gone, it's finished, over, because he can't get supplies.
There was a video just last week about one of the big flower suppliers in Holland as well, basically saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Did you see Angela Edson bring that up? That I think it's to a flower seller. It's all right because you can import the flowers from our magnificent trade deal from the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Yeah,
which we haven't got yet. And if we did, who's gonna buy in daffodils from like Chile?
Exactly. I don't think they would last that long.
Is there anyone in Chile making daffodils? I mean, that's like.
Well, I mean, I suspect we get those from Wales anyway. I maybe should have said tulips, but either way, you know, you're not going to import flowers from the Pacific.
Yeah, I think
it's just one of those ridiculous things. Whenever they try to say, "Oh, we'll just replace the trade elsewhere around the world," I mean, there's two things. First of all, I've got them. I've actually done calculations on I've sometimes used it in videos where it says, if you were to get a trade deal of the same quality of what with Japan around the world, it wouldn't make up the shortfall in our lost trade with the EU. There's just not, you know, you wouldn't get it. And you wouldn't get those same terms with, say, America anyway. And America aren't interested in any terms at the moment. But also the distance travelled. You're having a laugh.
I've just got to jump in there because Christine Cash has thrown some cash our way. So thank you very much for the super chat there from Christine. Perhaps a video on anything the Tories got right. That would take no time at all to edit. It really wouldn't. And I just want to share with everyone, you won't be able to see this on WhatsApp, but everyone else will be able to see it. Here's a picture of me from May 2017 with Michael Dugan, who Josh was just talking about, that we were talking on a panel there, about how terrible Brexit was going to be. And do you know what? This is going to come as a shock to no one. We were right. It was really terrible. But it's quite interesting that even that far back, we were all like, guys, what are we doing here? What are we doing? But no one wants to listen. He is a professor of EU law at the University of Liverpool, and no one would listen to him.
I was thinking yesterday, so Julia Hartley-Brewer put a tweet out of herself when she was celebrating on that referendum night in the Union Jack thing. And I was thinking, we need to find a way within campaigning circles, like we need to find an antidote for that sort of baseless, witless, self-congratulatory, contrarian vibe, where it's like it's not based on substance. It's literally just, you guys lost and you can't get over it, and you're embittered Ramonas, etc., etc. We need to find a way to market that back to people who respond to that positively.
The Democrats had the answer. I saw a clip of someone who working on the campaign in America on the anti-Roe versus Wade thing. And to appeal to sort of Republicans, they're using their language, words like freedom and things like that. So, there's very much an argument that what we should be doing is finding those sort of emotive words that work for Brexit and do it the way. Like freedom should be an obvious one, because we were promised Brexit freedoms, we haven't got them. But again, if you forget about our past membership and talked about, with this, we could have the freedom to do this or the freedom to do that. So if we joined the customs union, then we would have the freedom to trade, around Europe as easily as we can trade with Birmingham. That would be a freedom we gain. And there's
The freedom to live
several
and
other
work.
freedoms.
The freedom to live.
Well,
and
that would
work
be
in other
if we
countries.
be going into the single market after that. Yeah. So all of these things, you can use words like freedom, just like they have, only more plausibly, because it's no longer hypothetical. We've experienced.
The only problem with the word freedom is it's synonymous with that whole libertarian movement.
Don't matter. But it's the people that appeal to it. It's a word that resonates with them. That's why they use it. You can't not use their words, so to speak, because they use them for a reason. So you have to use the same words.
The problem that the American right are having right now is they've got this whole thing with.
They've got this batshit candidate, is what they've got.
Yeah. This whole thing with Taylor Swift.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I don't understand why she's become this icon. I just don't understand why
she's awesome. Because she's the queen. She's our queen. She is the world queen.
Yeah, because she is so popular, and she's going.
Hang on. I'm going to let you finish. I'm going to let you finish. Just go on.
No, because she's so popular, and she goes out with a really famous footballer who's in the Super Bowl and all that. She's not endorsed anyone at all. She's just encouraging people to vote. And the American right are saying, how dare she try and get people involved in politics? When surely, if you're a Democrat, you want as many people to be involved in the political
but they
system
don't,
as
do they?
possible.
No, it's the people she's targeting. They don't want that.
They want Kid Rock and Ted Nugent.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they know they can get their base to turn out. They'll scare the shit out of them. You know that Biden's
they understand that power she's wielding. And she's commanding at the moment because of her status.
It's why in this country they're trying to destroy Lineker and now Vorderman and basically anyone who holds them to account.
Yeah, but good luck with Taylor Swift. She's added 0.5% to the GDP of America. That's more than the GDP of most countries.
Yeah,
one person did that, and the power she wields is tremendous, and
the NFL as well. She's actually added to the value of the NFL.
Yes, because young women are watching the NFL now when they weren't watching it before.
I watched someone did a breakdown of all the appearances that Taylor Swift made on the NFL, and the longest one was 32 seconds. Because all these right wing sort of incels are going, I just want to watch football. And that was the longest she's ever appeared on a game, was 32 seconds. Yeah. And it's anytime there's a celebrity in the crowd, any football match over here, the cameraman are trained to zoom in on them. And just to gauge their reaction. A goal goes in against Chelsea.
30 years ago,
go on, sorry.
30 years ago, they got Cliff Richards to sing to the Wimbledon crowd when it rained.
There you go.
I remember that.
He got loads of airtime.
I remember watching it when it happened. Audible.
The other thing is I saw someone probably Fox News or one of the others suggesting that Taylor Swift encouraging people to vote is going to alienate some people in her base as well. It's who do they think she appeals to? Do you know what I mean? Do they think that there's all these Republican voters that are
she used to be a country singer. She used to be a country western singer.
That's another thing as well. I think they look at it as a betrayal.
But then also, like Wayne says, she is just encouraging them to turn up, right? Just to vote. And it's if that is going to alienate people, my God.
Yeah.
It's the audience she's targeting, to see how power she has.
That should be hilarious if that were true. If that were true, if Taylor Swift urging people to vote got the people who've been persuaded that Taylor Swift's like the devil to go, well, I'm not going to vote then. That'd be hilarious.
Right.
If only it was that easy.
You've only got to look at Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton had every celebrity endorsing her. Everyone from Jay-Z and Beyonce.
She didn't have Taylor. She didn't have Taylor.
Taylor was told me. Sorry.
Go on.
I remember watching it was part of one of her documentaries or whatever, where she said, her management told her she had to be politically neutral. She had to be quiet. Yeah. And she was a bit but I'm not politically neutral, and I don't want to be quiet because look at what's happening to our country. And so it's well, she didn't do it then, but she's doing it now. She did because Trump came in.
Yeah.
Just like others. This is what I'm saying. When I tell you guys that he's not going to win, okay?
Well, she's also in a.
People have really woken up to
that. She's also in an infinitely more powerful position now. Before, she was sort of subservient to her record deal, that she had with the I can't remember, Scooter Braun, and was it Universal she was signed to?
Yeah,
and now she's like,
they wouldn't let her average tapes, blah blah blah.
Yeah, and now she's
she
like
outsold. Has she outsold those originals now?
Yeah.
The 1989 one has.
To your point, I think that's a lot of artists when they're sort of like first being discovered, they're asked to toe the line, and then they eventually find themselves. If you remember back when Pink first came out, Pink was all sort of like, she was meant to be like an R&B singer, and then she sort of like, she got established and she went, I don't want to do this, and she started being this sort of like hedonistic sort of like
punk rock,
crazy
sort of punk rocker,
punk rock pop sort of thing, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And it was like, and she started something there, because then there was Kelly Clarkson and Ashley Simpson.
Yeah. Well, they all worked. It was the same producer, wasn't it, for like all of them? I think same writer.
Well, yeah. It was weird because he was the same producer did the first 2 or 3 albums, I think.
Right.
Funnily enough, even though she slagged him off in one of the songs.
Right.
Yes.
But
he was an ex-Motown guy as well.
Yeah.
I forget his name.
So that was but she said, but I think because he let her do what she wanted, it was all right.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
that's
up
the
there
trickery
with the Taylor Swifts now,
That's the trickery of the music industry, because like in that sort of like same time period, like my mate Scott, his band were big, and they had to disband because they just couldn't do what they wanted to do, and they weren't big enough to sort of Five. And
oh, you're friends with Scott, are you? Oh, with another celebrity friend of Wayne. Scott Robinson's my mate, because he's from Essex and that, and then
he literally lives around the corner, 2 roads away from me.
Tell us more.
A very small village, Essex. A very small village.
Yes, it's a small
Wayne and his Waynes to fame.
I love it. That's brilliant. Go on, continue. What is Scott saying?
But they couldn't find a footing, and they didn't have much power. And it turns out that they're still owed loads of money, but for them to try and take people to court to get that money back will cost them loads of money in the first place. So they've all kind of gone, what's the point?
Yeah.
It'd be like just, spinning your wheels. But you look at people like in that same genre, your people like Justin Timberlake, like Robbie Williams, those sort of people that broke through the glass ceiling and then had that bit of notoriety where they could say stuff and it wasn't going to hurt them because they would still sell out stadiums.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, but it's different now, especially with social media. Like you see, like Taylor Swift puts a tweet out and how many responses it gets compared to someone of the older generation who might be a bit,
gammony.
Gammony.
Yeah,
Gammony.
just like that bloke from the Who.
Who's
gammon?
Who?
Exactly. Who? Hope I die before I get old, he once sang. Oh, we got some super chats in. Thank you very much to Lee Corn there for the super chat. You get an old retro super chat thing there. Essex is Wayne's World.
Wait.
I'll get me coat.
Yeah.
And we've also got one from GHK. £5 super chat. Thank you very much. Ed Sheeran could work for getting people interested in voting too. I disagree with that because if he told me to vote for Labour, then I might be tempted to vote for the Conservatives.
Well, he could just ask people to vote. There's a lot to be said for celebrities being they don't have to be politically neutral, but let's say not party political. There's a lot to be said for that and just getting people out to vote. Because it's the extremist nutters who get their base out. So the Conservatives are used to getting their base out. They've scared the living shit out of them. So when you persuade more people to go out and vote, they're more likely to vote for someone vaguely sensible.
Yeah.
Who would? Well, do you remember? Sorry, do you remember? Was it in 2012 when Russell Brand was like all the rage and he was telling people not to vote and
I remember that.
Then
he met Ed Miliband.
Said, no, you need to. Yeah, and then he's like, no, you need to vote for Labour. And he just completely lost.
Don't have a word with him.
Have you guys
I think
seen?
someone had a word with him, and I think they probably said, you know, all those bitches that you keep fucking around with, right? We will expose you. You better tell everybody to vote.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen that video that's doing the rounds? I forget the name of the creator now, so please do jump in if you know it. Where I think she works in Media Matters, I think is the name of the thing. And it's basically looking back at Russell Brand's output over the last 6-7 years.
Wow.
And it's like looking at when
like that.
he used to do the Trues, was like his show on, and he would look at, you know, the Sun and the Daily Mail, and like it was a true news, right? Was the idea behind it. And at the time he was still a massive lefty. And then she like pinpoints this moment where he posts his first video where it's a thing about, I don't know if it's about the pandemic or about chemtrails or something.
It was the pandemic.
It was about
that got him.
Yeah, it was COVID.
And it just shot up into
like
a
1.5 million views, and everything else up to then at about 27,000.
Because it was with him. Jonesy. Yeah, it was like a family YouTube thing that he was making soap and stuff, wasn't it?
Aid, can you tell me you're not been tempted, mate? You look at your viewing figures. I look at the viewing figures on Labour Social, and I'm just like, if this was Tory Social, we'd have 1 million viewers. I don't know who they'll all be.
Should we just do it as a parody?
Well,
that the April Fool's plan.
April Fool. I'm going to write that down. I love that.
And let them starve. They could be all like Oliver Twist.
We'll do the Tory Social. We'll get Maximilian to play his, he does the Tory character, and we'll get the Broken News guys to do the Jacob Rees-Mogg impression.
But Graham, you would have to black up.
Lavy and Paul. No. No, I'm not doing that. Never.
I love that.
It's not going to happen.
He's dismissed it so earnestly. He's like, no, I'm not doing it.
I mean, I'll tell you what you could do. If someone was tempted to do something like this, you could probably make a channel. You know, on Twitter, you've got the Sir Michael Take CBE parody account. You could probably get away with doing a channel like that, which is just like, it's almost like an Al Murray type character, where you are pretending to be a Tory in just such. The problem is these days it's really hard to do parody.
Well, that happens with Rosie Holt, doesn't it? Loads of people think the Rosie Holt's clips are real.
It's
like, how disgraceful you are. She's like, it's a joke.
John Redwood, of course, is doing a pretty good job of being parody.
I think the pub landlord is the next generation of Alf Garnett. You know what I mean? Because let's face it, Al Murray is one of the biggest lefty socialist kind of people in the world, and so was your man who played Alf Garnett. You know, and he was just playing a parody of all the racists and stuff that he knew back in the 70s. You know, and then Al Murray comes like, "Oh, what's your name? What's your name, Governor? Gareth, beautiful British name." that kind of thing.
I can't remember if it was him or if it was somebody else that played a similar character, but I remember reading an interview with them where they were like, it's the best thing and the worst thing in the world because I like doing it and it's fun and it's funny to like poke and prod that subset of the British population who think that they're better than everyone else, that foreigners just come over here to take our jobs, that blah, blah, blah. And then they were like, and it's the worst fucking thing because people come up to you after the show and they go, oh, right on, mate. Yeah, I hate those foreigners too. And it's like, I'm
making fun of you.
Yeah.
So you see, mate, you don't recognise the irony that I'm doing this to like mug you off.
But profitable. But yeah, with Russell Brand, he then he the further right wing he went, he had like he got that Jordan Peterson creep or someone on his show.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Suddenly,
Carlson.
And his viewing figures went through the roof. So the same people who just a few years earlier had been slagging him off, saying he was the worst, little lefty gobshite. They were like, "We're proud to welcome on our show."
That's really
with
sex pest.
Yeah, I feel really sort of awakened, I guess, for want of a better word, because I remember when I watched him on, was it Question Time or like something back in the day?
Yeah.
And he was speaking all of the stuff that I had been thinking for a long time. I was like, yeah, the press should be regulated. The press are completely out of control. Tax avoidance, tax evasion, is astronomical in this country. And if you look at what's that famous pie chart where it's like the amount of billions, the tens or hundreds of billions that go uncaptured from tax avoidance from corporations,
about 200 billion a year.
Yeah, versus the money that. Sorry,
can I just say something? And you're probably not going to believe me. I saw that as well, and I didn't believe him. I
really?
Honestly, at the time, yeah. And there's a few people in my life who I was talking to at the time who will back me up on this. I'm like, he is full of shit. He doesn't believe any of this. He's just saying it to sell his book. And it turns out, ladies and gentlemen, he was just saying it to sell his fucking book.
He sold
but I think that's
ton of his books.
Yeah, that's probably the most insidious part about Russell Brand, because he'll say stuff like that, and then in the middle of it, he'll slip in, "Oh, but remember, there's stuff in the vaccines. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge."
Right.
They do this. I mean, there's a lot do this. Like Dan Hodges of the Mail sly for this. He'll like tweet things out, and people go, "Oh, I can't believe I'm agreeing with Dan Hodges." Says, "Yeah, that he's saying it," so that then you'll read his next Mail article.
The thing is, it's like the best place to hide a lie is in in half truth, right, or whatever the phrase is.
The Daily Express do it as well. I mean, you'll have a headline and it's "Oh, the Daily Express are attacking Brexit." I mean, I do videos on it all the time, and then it's like, and they'll do. Sometimes they actually do, and they finish it, and you think, "Oh, they've actually just attacked a part of Brexit," and somehow blame the EU. But then sometimes it's like it's almost like almost like I think it is like they know that the public are aware of this thing, so they have to broach it. And then they turn it into how, in actual fact, it was actually Labour's fault 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Actually, do you know, they went further than that. Who was it? Someone was trying to claim now that the Horizon scandal, right, actually wasn't just the last Labour government's fault. It was the Labour government in 1960s. They blamed Tony Benn as a minister in the 1960s for it. Yeah, that was my expression as well, Josh. That's what someone did. I can't remember who it was now.
Every time, like you see, like PMQs, he stopped doing it now. Little Rishi, brings up Jeremy Corbyn.
Oh no, he did it last week.
Oh, did he?
Oh, he still does it.
First question he did it.
No.
First question.
Oh, no.
I think it was the second, but yeah, he did it.
He called him the candidate from 2019 or something.
Yeah. You see, that's kind of one of them ad hominems where you're playing the man and not the ball. And as far as I'm concerned, if you do that in any kind of debate, you've got nothing. You've got no material. You've got no substantial argument. You're just playing all that stuff. And like you say, when they sort of like attacking like the last Labour government, 14 years ago now. Yeah. And then if we're going back to the 60s, come on. You've had all that time to fix it from then.
What they're trying to do is they're saying, "Oh, the seeds of all this was planted all this time ago." And it's like, so why didn't you do anything in the meantime? If you've got this bloody tree you don't want growing up and up, why don't you take a hatchet to it in the last 14 years?
It didn't happen until the election came up, so...
Sorry, Josh, I was just going to say, I've got my emergency Corbyn graphic, if anyone wants to watch it on the screen now. Emergency Corbyn unlocked! There it is. That pops up whenever someone comes along and says, "Oh, get a Jeremy Corbyn." The right honourable member for Islington North, I think the way they put it. Sorry, Wayne, what were you going to say?
There was a graphic that they put up on Navarro News the other day because they were talking about the housing crisis and talking about how many houses were sold off from 1981. And like my thesis for my book that I'm going to write about how Maggie Thatcher destroyed all new towns, it just chimes with this. And it just carried on under Labour because they was all just like nicking all these houses, selling them off for profit and not replacing them. Yeah. And then they go, "Oh, housing crisis? What housing crisis?"
Well, I mean, they're always going to blame someone else. So there's a news story appearing at the moment about this horrific crime that took place yesterday, which involved a chemical attack on a woman and 2 young children and passers by and emergency responders. Sorry?
Shame on Nick Ferrari, by the way, on his coverage.
Well, I was going to come to that. And so instead of blame, they say, well, he claimed asylum and he shouldn't have got it because he was a sex offender. And it's like, okay, who gave him the asylum? It wasn't some lefty lawyer came along and said, right, you've got to get this. No, it was the government because they are rushing through these asylum claims, not looking at them properly because they can't be arsed. So they're like, oh, well, just whatever, let them in. Because they've got 100,000 people backlog to get through. It's a failure of the government that no one's talking about.
There's multiple things they should be talking about as well. They'll say, oh, we shouldn't give them asylum. Now, what you mean is you shouldn't give anyone that's not white asylum. That's what you're actually saying.
Yep.
But the, it's like, so what if you've got someone who's British then? Are you saying that we can't stop British people who might be suspected of, being dangerous? We can't do anything about them? No, of course we can. So you do the same thing, because what people are missing out is it's like saying, I mean, in this particular case, probably shouldn't have been given asylum, because from what I can gather, and I don't know the details, what I can gather, he'd already failed it twice. Now, if you failed it twice, and apparently, again, I don't know the details because there's so many arseholes trying to bumble in on it. They're trying to say, oh, he claimed he'd converted to Christianity and it'd be unsafe to go back to his land. And it's as well, you could still judge, well, we don't think you credibly have, and, so go back then. But just in general, let's say you just had someone who there was credible evidence that they would be persecuted in their own land, they could be killed, right? What you're saying is, no, we're not going to grant you asylum because you have this criminal offence. In which case, what you're saying is we're going to send you back to some people who are going to kill you. And we don't kill people in this country. And you don't send people to die in this country. We occasionally send our soldiers to die, but we're supposed to try and protect them. So that's what they need to understand. You have a criminal justice system to try and prevent people committing crimes, because British people can commit crimes. The vast majority of these sorts of crimes are committed by British people. A pissing MP threatened to do it, Claudia Webb. Yeah. So, that's what I think people should focus much more on as well. Stop banging on about asylum. It's got nothing to do with asylum. In this particular case, maybe it was wrong to have granted him asylum, because it sounds weird as hell to me. But again, that is because they haven't got a proper system in place. Yeah. There are British people who will kill people. There are British people with these attitudes. British people who throw acid into people's faces. What do? Just ignore them?
This is what I was saying, like on my show just before I came on here. I was like, there's two things with this. Firstly, that this is a failure of a succession of British institutions. Well, who's been in charge of those British institutions for the last 14 years? Like, we're talking about the police who arrested him for the 2 sex crimes. We're talking about the judiciary. We're talking about the probation service. We're talking about the asylum system. Each one of these, and I'm happy to be corrected, but each one of these feeds up into the Home Office. Well, who's been running the Home Office?
Yep.
Like,
or the Justice Department. It's the Justice Department and the Home Office.
Sorry, you go.
Wayne, your signal's really bad, mate. Wayne, your signal's really bad. We can't understand what you're saying. It's all mashed up.
All right, I'm gonna switch. Wait 1 minute.
Okay, all right. If this is James O'Brien, we would have put the phone down on you.
Yeah. Should we quickly move the conversation on to a different topic?
Well, no, I am going to, because Reagan Elites just pointed out in the chat that Carl Weathers died, who played Apollo Creed in Rocky 1, 2, 3, and 4. And he was in Predator, and more recently in The Mandalorian, and he's passed away.
Oh, I don't know who the fuck that is.
Apollo Creed, mate.
Apollo Creed from Rocky.
Rocky 1, 2, 3.
Got to
and
do
he died in 4.
with Labour.
No, this is a social. This is like going down the pub, and it's just got. Look, my phone's just beeped. Actually, it was Reagan Elite in the chat who pointed it out and said Carl Weathers passed away yesterday at the age of 76 in his sleep.
Okay.
Anyway, right, go on, Aid. What did you want to say?
I honestly can't remember. It's left my head now.
I think Ollie had something.
In other news, Liz Truss speaking at CPAC, February 22nd. Get it in your calendars.
How much are they paying her?
Pork markets aplenty.
How much are they paying her?
Probably not very much.
Quite a lot.
She's not really that good at negotiating, is she? So
this is it. We need to play Liz Truss bingo. We need to sort out a Liz Truss bingo card.
What's CPAC? Sorry, what is it?
It's the Conservative Action Pack.
Oh,
it's got increasingly hilarious every year.
Oh, it's in America.
Yeah. They had Viktor Orban last year.
Really?
Awake, not woke, says the sign on it says awake, not woke.
I mean,
that was the other thing.
I was just going to say it's sort of indicative of the state of modern politics, both in the US and the UK, isn't it? That you can have somebody who has observedly failed, who adopts the ideology that we all know has failed. Like, you can't game the bankers, you can't game the international markets. If you keep talking that crazy shit, the markets are going to react in such a way that they did with the mini budget, and that's going to have a real terms impact on people's mortgages, pensions. Like, it's just because the Bank of England acted so quickly that people's pensions didn't just collapse. And now we've got her going over to Washington to give a big speech about how we all need to just be a bit bolder, be a bit braver, cut taxes. Like, how is anyone taking this bit seriously?
Because they do, and the people who will profit are the ones who can afford to. I mean, when you've got, 3 billion quid's worth of assets, you can sort of afford the odd little failure.
Well, this is what Farage was hoping for, and that was the only bright silver lining of the pandemic, that Farage's big victory lap was cut, not even started because of the pandemic, and he was going to do his big speaker US circuit, which would have netted him billions of pounds for all the speaker fees.
He would have got billions, would he?
Oh yeah, the US speaker market.
I get it would be lucrative,
billions.
But
like Obama did it.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not Obama. Let's be honest.
But even then, he would have earned a pretty penny. It is a very lucrative circuit.
I absolutely. I mean, I don't know how much he would have earned. I mean, I did videos on it at the time. Basically pointing and laughing at him. Bad luck, Nige.
Here's what I don't.
Which
understand.
is why I go on. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, like, have none of these people that book these brigs, like, have they never seen good speakers? Like, have they never seen an actual entertaining orator?
Stand up and fight.
Like, do some stand up. Like, get a decent
stand up
aging
and fight.
Speaker with some charisma and jokes.
Why
are they paying like $100,000 to Liz Truss or whatever? Like,
they should absolutely get Penny Mordaunt to swing a sword at them. Yeah,
isn't it just a payoff? It's not. They don't actually want the content, right? It's just a way of giving them some money for something they've done.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
and also works quite well as a distraction. We're all talking about it rather than real issues.
But this is why I also think Nigel Farage has been a bit coy about whether he's going to lead Reform UK, because in my view, I think the election is in May still. I just think maybe the odds have tilted slightly to November. But I don't think he wants to do it. I don't think he wants to get involved if the general election is going to be in autumn, because then it'll be like, well, I want to be in America. I want to be next to Trump, with the bag with the dollar sign on it. So that's why I think he's waiting for, to see when the election's called for.
Graham, can you email me the link so I can jump in on my actual rig rather than my phone?
I've emailed it to you already, mate. I did it before the show.
Okay. All right, cheers, mate. Sorry.
See you in a moment.
Cheers.
Guys, I'm going to have to jump off.
Okay.
Fun.
Thank you, Aid. Thank you for staying awake this whole time.
You're very welcome.
I was a bit worried we might lose you halfway through and you just fall asleep.
I might fall asleep now. Also, it's definitely not that Wayne is just about to join. I'm not like, oh, well, fuck this guy.
That's absolutely what we're going to tell him when he comes back.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You've seen this LBC thing today on Lawrence Fox?
Oh, that was my story of the week.
Okay, we'll come back to that. Aid, thank you so much, mate.
See you later.
Bye. See you later, mate. Bye-bye.
My story of the week was that middle-aged woman climbing in through a window and her tits falling out.
What?
Oh, you've not seen that?
No. What is going on?
Beautiful. It's gone all over social media. It's been really viral.
Fell out.
So basically, what happened is you got these couple of women, and they look about 60ish, and they'd obviously locked themselves out of their house, but window open. But it's a window that's sort of a head height. Now, I remember as a young man climbing into windows like that, not like breaking in or anything. Windows I was allowed to climb through. And but you look at this woman.
We all know what we get up to in Yorkshire, Phil. It's okay. She first of all tries, and you're thinking she can't do a pull-up, right? So she can't get herself up there. And she works it out, and her friend lifts her ankles up, lifts her up like that so she can climb through. She goes around the other side. Her dress gets caught on like the hook.
No.
And her tits fall out. They're pressed against the window. And her friend's just pissing herself laughing. Someone's recorded it, of course, because they're just looking at this open trying to get in, think I'm going to record this. But to be fair to her, I was actually impressed with this woman because she was basically supporting herself. I thought she'd do herself an injury. But she actually managed to get herself down the other end. It's just this thing when she got over and her baps fell out and her friend just
and she was all right for this to be put on the internet.
Yeah, because I thought to myself when I looked at this, I thought, right, this is 999 job. I thought, but no one would put it on the internet if she was actually going to hurt herself badly. So I'll watch it. And she did. She was really. I was really impressed with her effectively athleticism, despite the wardrobe malfunction.
She had big
because she.
She likes her boobies. They don't lie.
Oh no! I mean, they were like the reason they fell out is because they were not exactly pert. But I'm gonna have to find it now.
No, don't put it on our channel.
Not putting it
Phil.
on.
We don't want to put it on the channel.
I'm not putting it on.
Keep some decorum here. Jesus Christ!
You had a child on the
again.
video, AG. You've got no chance of monetizing this content. You can't have children on it. But I'm not going to put
children on it.
Yeah, you have. You had Wayne's kid on it.
No, you didn't see her.
Yeah, we did.
No, we didn't.
Yes, all right then. You watch it back later.
It'll
take me ages to find it. I'll have to look in my.
You can just see me on the screen. You can't see what's actually been going out.
I'm watching.
I'll just link it.
Well.
I'll link. Well, no, I'll just link it to you, Graham. I'll link it to you.
All right, link it to me.
It took me a while to find it anyway because I like a lot. Oh, here it is. It's like I've had to actually be careful today because I've been to a funeral and every time I've thought about this video I just crack up and I thought I can't do that at a funeral.
No, Phil, you can't. Hi, Wayne. Wayne's back. Wayne, Aid said he wasn't going to stick around if you were coming back. He's got off in a big huff.
Right.
Oh, you're
no.
still.
Wait.
Oh no.
Your signal's still awful.
Shoot your little fucks, right?
Yeah,
Hang on.
It's all metal,
Wayne.
Mickey.
Wayne, you've gone full metal, Mickey, mate. We can't hear what you're saying.
He's on the wrong Wi-Fi.
Yeah, you're on it you're on the neighbour's Wi-Fi. You're on the neighbour's Wi-Fi, mate.
Oh.
Anyway, I'll free up some bandwidth for Wayne, so I'm going to get off as well.
Thanks, Ollie.
Dropping like flies.
Yeah, something we said. See you later, Al.
See ya.
Thank you very much, mate. Cheers.
Cheers, man.
Let me get back to talking about Brexit. Yes.
Oh, thank God them two are gone. Fucking hell, they were really turning the show down.
I thought round the home counties you had good internet. What's going on?
I'll tell you what it is, right? Because I've changed jobs recently. Yeah. I've not paid my Virgin bill, so I'm effectively hotspotting off my phone.
That literally, as you were saying that, it went, you got the phone like that.
We got the impression.
I apologise.
Maybe you could hold up signs like in Love Actually. Just hold up.
Or I could get one of the little sign people in this little corner.
Yeah. Oh, well, like sign language. Yeah, some BSL.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Or closed caption.
We've got closed captions. We have actually got subtitles coming up on the screen, but it's not going to be able to pick up what you're saying, Wayne, because you do sound like a drunken Dalek at the moment. Scott's doing a very good impression. Scott, you're looking like Holly from Red Dwarf at the moment, mate, with the black t-shirt on and everything. You look like you're going to tell us what's going on. Well, you see, the thing about space is it's black, and the things about black holes is it's black. So how are you supposed to see them? Anyway, so back to Brexit, because it's what we like to talk about.
That's funny.
So we were talking about this week. We've got these new regulations that have come in, but they've not really come in. It's another bodge job by the Tories, isn't it? That we have these certificates now for flowers. Fruit,
any agri-food products.
Agri-food products. So that's flowers, food, drink, all that kind of stuff. You need a certificate now off a vet or a horticulturalist, I assume.
Yeah, there are some other qualified people who can do it, but you need someone who wasn't needed before, and there isn't a glut of them available to do this paperwork for you. And they cost you. It costs you.
So, are we going to see an immediate effect to this? Is this going to be the next few days? We're going to see the prices go up, or do you think it's been factored in?
I'm not sure. There should be. Whether we see it is another matter, because the first thing to go will be small consignments. So, if, for example, you were to order like a small consignment of something that would be affected from the EU directly as an individual customer, you may find that they say, "Yeah, we can't do this." But because there might be a lot of businesses actually who don't even realize there's a change. So they might not even realize there needs to be a health certificate. And because no one's checking them, they're not going to get pulled up on it. So the biggest change you would expect to be is when the checks start coming in. But even there, a bit of apparently it's like the most advanced trade board in the world.
The checks aren't coming in, mate. We've stopped freedom of movement. They have to stay in check here.
Yeah,
very good.
Do you know what? I thought with that joke as well, Graham, and I thought, no, that's too dad joke.
So this most advanced trade border in the world involves, like, this is how the checks are going to work. There's no room at Dover because, it's sea. You can't just build into the sea. So what they're going to do is say, look, we ain't got any room to check you here, but we've got this facility 22 miles away. If you could drive there, please, and that'd be great. And this driver will might, if they're honest, might say to the person, and if I don't drive there, how will you find out? Well, we won't find out because, we're not going to follow you there in a police car. So, yeah, that's our most advanced trade border in the world. We're going to bring checks in and ask lorry drivers to go out of their way to this check-in facility and basically turn themselves in.
I think it's at Ashford, isn't it?
I can't remember. I don't really know, Kent, but
I think it's
there's a lorry park at Ashfield.
You can literally just turn left and avoid it.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is the thing. Like, it's the same with certificates. Like, people mostly are going to be compliant. They're not going to, because you could imagine, I would have thought you'd do something like clock the number plate, and then when it tries to leave the country again, go, you didn't go and get checked. You could imagine a system like that exists, but this is the Tories are talking about.
It does require having an imagination. And...
Yeah. Someone would have had to have thought of doing that. Yeah. And also, I wonder, my cynical hat on, it's always on, I would just wonder if the Tories just want to say they've got these standards checks in place so that if anything goes tits up, say, well, we had a system in place. But in reality, they don't really care whether there's a system or not. I mean, you've got Jacob Rees-Mogg who doesn't even want a system.
They'll blame the blob, right, for making it break on purpose or something.
Well, they blame Labour because they want these things to come in when Labour, if the election is in May, it's all on Labour. Because what will be happening is these checks will be ramped up from the end of April to the end of October. Trade ramps up from about August to late November, December time, because you get a massive surge of trade. Loads of people buy more. I see it on the channel. My revenue rate goes up because more people are spending, not so much last year, but generally speaking, more people are spending on ad revenue because that's when they're selling the most. So trade massively ramps up from about August and peaks roughly December, around about Christmas, then it goes off a cliff again. So they're going to be introducing like the full works just when people are trying to import the highest volumes of the whole year.
And Phil, to your point, you've got to think of like the Ministry of Transport's tachograph checks on domestic lorries is minimal. So who is going to be doing these checks?
Well, exactly. We haven't even hired. I don't think we've hired enough people for it.
No.
But they say they're coming in. But because these checks take the form of, could you please drive 22 miles to this location and ask them to check your lorry and then go wherever you're going to go? I don't know how many are going to comply with that. Some are obviously going to. I mean, if I was a lorry driver, I wouldn't want to not comply because if I would assume they'll have something that will scan my license plate. If I try and go back out, then that lorry's banned from coming back into the country. I think, well, I mean, they might be secretly pleased because, I mean, I can imagine a lot of EU-based lorry drivers thinking when they have to drive to this place thinking, well, I can't be arsed with doing the Britain run anymore. It's a pain in the arse. Just go to Belgium next year.
Well, so you've got to think about people that are on like load bonuses. Right? So the quicker they can get there and quicker they can get back, they get another load on and earn the money.
They're not getting another load on. I mean, that's the other problem. We have got a shortage of lorry drivers. That ain't gone away just because the Express have stopped talking about it. It's so for every extra delay you create, that lorry and lorry driver can deliver fewer things in either direction.
Mm-hmm.
But because we can't just get more lorry drivers and get more lorries, that just means fewer things can be traded. Regardless of tariffs or paperwork or anything like that, if you've got less freight capacity, you you can deliver fewer things. So then you start to prioritize. Bang goes my Danish blue, which I will be mightily pissed off about. If I find I can't get Danish blue, I will not be happy.
What's Danish blue? Is that some kind of
cheese? It's a filthy cheese.
No, it's lovely.
It's not crystal meth.
No.
Okay. Phew. If I can't get my crystal meth, I'm going to bring down the government. So Danish blue is actually a cheese because a Norwegian blue is a parrot. It's a dead parrot is a Norwegian blue from the dead parrot sketch.
I suppose it is, yeah. No, this is a dead nice cheese.
Speaking of dead blues, how are you getting on?
Let's not talk about that. Anyway, Supertansky couldn't make it tonight because she's actually done herself a mischief making making some IKEA furniture.
I saw that. Oh, bless her.
She sent pictures of her blisters, and I'm like, oh my god, like, yeah.
IKEA
furniture. Yeah, indeed. Apparently it's blue cheese, says Vendetta in the chat. Sorry, I've never even heard of it. Was that like is it like Stilton?
No, well, that is also blue cheese, but it's not like Stilton now.
I can't think of Stilton now without thinking of that episode of Peep Show where he gets the cheddar and he scribbles on it with a biro.
Yeah. Bit of an obscure one I heard about, like literally in the pub, table next to us, I think about a year ago, was Dutch licorice. I think so. There's a particular type of Dutch licorice that's really nice, and that actually is quite popular here. And they were talking about their fear of not being able to get their Dutch licorice anymore.
Yeah, I've not actually come across that. I am a fan of licorice. My partner sometimes gets it, but she has to get it in small quantities because you found out if you eat too much of it, you die. Right. So,
sorry, what's that? What?
Licorice.
If you eat too much licorice, you die.
It can be fatal. Yeah.
Is that like if you eat enough pot noodles, you'll die?
No,
you got to eat 1,000 of them a day.
No, people have actually died from eating too much licorice. It is
actually, it's actually physically possible. I can vouch for that. When I was in Sweden, I tried this thing called it's Swedish fuckers, as they call it, and it's just a tiny little bit of licorice, and it is the saltiest. Like your face implodes on itself as soon as you put it in your mouth, and it's disgusting. I'll send a video in the chat.
Wait, Wayne, could you have a look at your sound? I don't think it's coming through your mic. I think it's coming through your laptop or something.
Yeah, that's all that. It happens all the time.
You sort that, mate, and we'll just talk about the fact that I now want to have as a plot of a movie someone I don't like who doesn't like licorice. That's the important thing. Being force-fed licorice to death. In a kind of ironic death kind of thing. You like the movie Seven?
Yeah.
Just me. Okay.
I watched it once.
Once, not 7 times.
I'm not really a film fan, so I very rarely watch a film a second time, even if I like it.
Oh, I just watched The Monkey King on Netflix, which is an animation, a prequel to Monkey from the 1970s, based on Journey to the West. Which was also made into a stage show by Damon Albarn and Jamie Hewitt, whatever his name is, from
Gorillaz.
The band, the Gorillaz.
Yeah.
That's it, Gorillaz.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, it was very good, animated, very good, good family film. Good family film. I saw Poor Things last week with Ben Chambers. I quite liked that, the movie Poor Things. It was better than Saltburn. Can I talk about how much I hated Saltburn? I really hated Saltburn.
All of that, yeah.
Yeah, but the people watching this haven't heard my take on it. Don't watch Saltburn. Well, watch it and go, that was bloody awful. Because it shouldn't be a bad film, but there's just a couple of scenes in it that I think are just really, really messed up and wrong. Not the whole drinking from the bathtub or the vampire scene. None of that. The bit where he pretends to be poorer than he really is, to manipulate the rich person, and I'm like, I can feel my class warrior coming out and going, excuse me, as some posh person made a film, posh privately educated person's made a film in which the only middle class character is pretending to be working class and actually has loads of money. They're just making it up, and it goes back to that idea of like in Little Britain, that he's not really disabled. He's just pretending. What if they're just doing it for attention? What if they're not really poor? What if they're not really using food banks? I mean, what if they're just pretending? And I absolutely hate that narrative. So I hated that movie for that reason. Otherwise, it would have been quite good.
I just brought Sexy back.
Hello. Where was she? She been out?
No, I've been here all along.
Oh,
are we on Lawrence Fox then? Should we get Scott to explain this one? Where's he gone?
Lucy says, I haven't seen Saltburn, but everyone is taking it in turns to spoil it for me. Do you know what spoils Saltburn? The movie Saltburn. Watch Poor Things instead. It's way better. And it's funny as well.
Anything.
Have you seen Brightburn, the alternative Superman film?
No.
It's basically, it follows the narrative of Superman landing on Earth, but he's a badass. And
I thought you were going to say it was like on a like a planet of Superman, and he does his secret hero and stuff as a boring accountant or a journalist.
Oh, he's back. He wants to move positions.
Sorry, guys.
Hi, Scott. You're now at the bottom of the screen.
That's okay. No, basically, I got a new Wi-Fi booster, and it's shit. And I'm gonna have to get another one that's actually good, and maybe actually pay a little bit of money for it, because it's been doing this with everything, like YouTube videos, everything. So sorry, guys.
Well, Vendetta says that Brightburn is effing awesome. So there you go.
I haven't seen that yet.
Did you think it was good, Wayne?
I've watched the trailer. It comes up on my Netflix all the time. It's one of them films that I just keep meaning to watch, and I'm like, it's 2:00 in the morning.
I always sit there and go, "Oh, this is going to be an investment. I'm going to watch this series instead."
Do you know what I would like though? There was a comic book run called Red Sun, and it was about the Superman story, but he landed in Soviet Russia. So instead of becoming the hero of America, he became the hero of Soviet Russia. I think that was a fantastic movie. I'd be up for that.
Yeah, because you've got in the Marvel series, you've got Red. Is it Red Defender or Red? He's basically like Captain America, but he's like the Soviet.
Yeah. He was in the Black Widow movie. He was in the Black Widow
got
movie.
one of those as well.
Yeah,
that was like in the old Justice League comics I used to read as a young nipper.
It's mad when you look back on it. The amount of propaganda we were fed through really weird media, truth and justice in the American way. Yeah.
I think I was poisoned with all that crap growing up.
And do you know the worst person who's for it of recent? Michael Bay. Michael Bay and the Transformers franchise
He's always just been awful.
But it's just absolute American fucking war machine propaganda.
For me, it was National Treasure. National Treasure. When he stood there and went, "We are holding the Declaration of Independence," and they had like a pause, I screamed at the TV. I literally screamed, "Get this off my face! This sucks. This is awful." And that whole patriotic thing, I only ever watched half of Independence Day, because when Will Smith got up on that plane and started talking about America,
today we celebrate our Independence Day.
Oh.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I wonder who said
I
that
stood up in the cinema and went, "Yeah!"
You did not.
Do you know what? I'm tempted to go to a fucking
awful.
I'm tempted to go to an American pub for the Super Bowl and just see if I can get a USA chant going.
You would though, because they're idiots. They're they're stupid. You have to do it.
I'm going to turn up like Hacksaw Jim Duggan, 2x4 in hand, flag over my shoulder. No, that's the Bushwhackers, you idiot.
Oh, what is it? That was Hacksaw Jim Duggan. He had
the flag over his shoulder, the 2x4 the other side.
Yeah, sorry. That was the Bushwhackers. I'm confused. I had all the dolls growing up. I had the WWE soundtrack from the 80s with Hulk Hogan's.
WWF, mate. WWF.
Back then it was,
WWF. Do you know what? That's a mad transition. Has everyone heard the allegations about Vince McMahon?
Yeah.
I saw some memes. What's happened?
I don't remember it, apparently.
Well, basically, he's been accused of sex trafficking an employee who was living in. She was down on her luck, living in the same building as him, and it was basically like, why don't you come and work for me?
I don't know how someone down on their luck could live anywhere near Vince McMahon, man. The man is a millionaire.
She lost her parents, and I think she inherited a bit of dosh, but she was like a bit down. And yeah, he took a shining to her, and basically him and these are all court allegations that she's made, so it's in the public realm. So I can't get done for libel, but basically, she's accused him of trafficking her to his president of talent relations, John Laurinaitis, who was married to the Bella twins' mum, and he used to send her to his room for breakfast, which basically sent her to his room to service him, and then they used to sort of lock her in a room and then freeze up on her and all this kind of stuff. And
Jesus Christ,
yeah, it's if all these allegations are true, yeah, he's a proper monster. And the worst allegation was they did this particular thing with both of them together, the two guys and her, against her will, and one of them said, yeah, no means yes, when she protested against it. And then after she alleges that Vince McMahon defecated on her head.
What the fuck?
Yeah. And these are all it's a 66-page court document, and it's all out there. So yeah, that's why he's been scrubbed from WWE.
Yeah, you won't whole organization. Yeah.
Yeah, he's fuck. You won't find any mention of him in any of their archives, anything. And there was also the implication that he was sending pictures to other superstars. One of them is allegedly to be a former UFC star, and the only one that is there, because the thing is, he's like pointing the finger, UFC superstar, Brock Lesnar. And Brock Lesnar's been pulled from, he was pulled from the Royal Rumble just last week and replaced. And he's been taken out of the new 2K game. Again, they've scrubbed him.
These words mean nothing to me, Wayne. I'm not.
Okay, right.
I don't watch redneck pantomime.
No, it's basically it's the computer game of the show. And they've gone in and digitally removed him from the game, which is a feat in itself.
Wow. Wasn't Kevin Spacey removed from a film? And like a half filmed that filmed with Kevin Spacey, and then
I don't think it would have been 7, would it? Because it's fairly integral to that film.
It was something that was being made around the time of his.
It can't be much of a stretch for him to play that character in 7.
It was method acted.
Jesus. Anyway, yeah. So no, we were talking about this afternoon. Actually, is there anyone who's not a wrong'un? Like everyone.
Well, this is why I would just say you shouldn't really support anyone unless you really know them. You can like in politics or anything, you can support what someone's doing, and you can sort of say, okay, for that. But there'll always come a point where they'll just let you down, or you feel you end up, if it's a little bit of bad behavior, you end up defending it or something like that, and then you end up going wrong way down. I mean, like one of the songs that used to sort of really get me when I was young was like Two Little Boys, and you think Rolf Harris sang that, and you know, well, it's still a really nice song.
I'm gonna go worse than that. I really loved Lost Prophets back in the day.
I did too. I was a massive fan, and I was so upset. I saw them in concert multiple times.
Yeah.
Like the Brixton Academy. So I saw them in the basement of the Virgin Megastore. They were fucking brilliant. They were wonderful, and it broke my heart. There's still a part of me that honestly sits there sometimes and thinks, it's not true. It's not true.
Yeah.
No, it is true.
It didn't happen.
Massively. And the thing is, like, everyone knows someone who's got a band tattoo, right? I mean, I've got an entire sleeve of Muse, right? And I was like, well, the first thing I thought was like, if any of Muse turn out to be a wrong one, I'm fucked.
You are. That's why you should never
Knock it off.
Don't never pin your flag to another man's mast.
Yeah.
Hang on.
They'll always let you down, man.
We're on the Labour Social here.
Someone said to us earlier, they said, we were talking about Arcade Fire and saying about how because the lead singer of Arcade Fire has been accused of some pretty horrific things.
Shit, yeah.
I pointed out the fact that there was a little period where Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters was an AIDS denier.
When was that?
Oh, it was about the turn of the millennium. He had this woman who came on stage and explained to everyone that AIDS didn't exist and it was just pneumonia. And it was just like, what are you doing, guys?
Surely he realized that he was completely wrong on that.
Well, yeah, I think he did. Good. But it was just a bit of a weird phase that he
Dave
went
Grohl
through.
would be a step too far. Dave Grohl would be a step too far, and I would have to off myself.
Oh, no, don't say that, Scott. Again, don't nail your flag to another.
That's exactly it. Yeah, just don't.
Nice guy, Dave.
You can't believe that if you don't know someone, even if you do know someone, you can still be con. But if you don't really know someone, don't idolize them.
What happened to the geezer from Mumford and Sons? Because there was a bit of controversy about them.
He's a Tory, isn't he?
It got dropped, but so did Mumford.
Oh God, here comes the pub quiz trivia bit.
His dad set up GB News.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, you can fuck off then.
Just
exactly.
One of the other members of Mumford and Sons now runs started a venue in London called the O'Meara.
Is it a Tory venue? Is it for Tories? This is a Tory venue for Tory people.
Yeah,
it's a really nice venue that actually used to be a gay club I worked in. So yeah.
Is there a bunch of like pigs in like harnesses at the back for them?
Well, it was when it was a gay club.
Yeah, that was one of the features they carried over.
Those guys that call themselves pigs, yeah.
Is that you?
I feel bad because I saw Marilyn Manson a couple of times in the 1990s.
I saw Marilyn Manson.
I assume that this was all an act. This was all a performance. But actually, no, he's a very horrible person, it turns out. And yeah, it's just
a lot of the stuff has been dropped, from what I understand. But then I've been seeing YouTube videos pop up on, I think I watched a video where they said most of the charges that were against him have been dropped, but now there's like new charges. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you look at him and you think, yeah, I could see that.
Well, that's how.
Sometimes you should judge a book by its cover.
Yeah,
and if it's been written by Nadine Dorries, you're gonna know it's shit. Sorry, but yeah, I mean, there's everything to play for. We're only in February of this year, so
it can all go terribly. It all go terribly.
Well, if we pull it back to politics, it is for Reclaim UK.
Yes. I'm gonna put the link in. Do you want to talk about this, Phil?
About Scott was going to talk.
Scott, were you going to talk about it?
Yeah, I was. Well,
yeah, come on.
Obviously, I was going to talk about the court case and
I'm going to put the link in the chat.
The fact that he lost. Obviously, it means a lot to someone like me, the drag queen that sued him and has been suing him for the last 3 years. Major victory, and it really goes to show that you can't go around calling gay people pedophiles.
Yeah,
you just can't do it, and it's so false and wrong to do, and but some of the stories that have come out of things that he did during the trial, apparently, they do the newscast, isn't it, on LBC? And so I think one of the women that was in the court case said that he did the haka twice.
Yes, he did the haka, as in the New Zealand dance do, the Maori dance they do before the All Blacks play. He tried to do a version of that, but it wasn't very good. It was like a mockery version of the haka. He also said the N-word in court to prove he wasn't racist.
I'm not a racist. Just because I said the N-word, that's me racist.
It's like just going, I'm not a murderer, and then stabbing the stenographer.
Yeah, right.
The thing is, as well as like him and various people in the media are all they're all whining because You know, because he was trying to say to the judge, well, you've got to define racism. You've got to define racism. And the judge was trying to explain they're trying to explain, they didn't have to care about what he thought. They just said, no, because the way defamation works is, first of all, you have to prove that you've been harmed by it. So at that point, you then maybe have to define it and because then you have to have, did they have good reason to call you it? But it never got to that point because defamation's really hard to prove. And all these free speech nuts, they should cheer this because that is actually a defense of free speech. It stops someone vexatiously suing you just because you threw some shade their way. Because it's like, did it harm you? No, piss off then. So that it fell at the first hurdle. Whereas if you accuse someone of being a paedophile, first of all, you're accusing them of a serious criminal offence. Not actually a criminal. You know, it's not actually that. It depends. I mean, hate speech is a thing, but generally speaking, being a racist isn't a criminal offence. Being a paedophile is, and you know, particularly for certain people, as Scott says, it can be very, very damaging. So they proved that, and now he's potentially going to be £3 million in the hole, or his sugar daddy is.
Well, £3 million. I heard it was £2 million. £3 million.
We don't know because nothing's been set. But I've seen reports that suggest it could be up to that with the court, with the legal fees and everything.
But I've got to say the drag queen that pulled him up, she was on Sky News with Kay Burley, and she looked amazing. I was like,
she is a very talented drag queen. And she was on RuPaul's Drag Race, like,
and it was dead early in the morning.
Yeah, and she was done. She was snatched.
And I think Kay Burley was like, "When did you start doing your makeup?" She said, "Oh, just a couple of minutes." Just
but she started doing that shit at 4 a.m. There's no doubt about that.
She went for the full Legally Blonde look, but the makeup was just it looked like she'd been drawn. I was just like, I wasn't concentrating on what she was saying. I was like, that looks amazing.
What surprised me is she's actually one of those really avant-garde drag queens that does really fucked up, weird sort of like shit as part of her performance. Like more of a performance artist than a drag queen. So to see her so feminized and snatched the way she was, I was a bit like, she's different, but she does it well, and that's why she's who she is. And but when we talk about the money, well, it doesn't seem that another little venture going for him seems to be the Reclaim Party seems to be got some real
Jeremy Hoskins, his name is. He funded he funded the Brexit Party. Liz Truss, he's funded. If you go to privateschoolmafia.com and look up his name,
did he fund Fox's mayoral race as well?
Yes, he did. Yeah, he's a sugar daddy for Farage, Trump, Tice, Loser Fox, Andrew Bridgen as well, and
this is what's caused
quite funny because
he went to rugby and he gives money to these people not because he thinks they're going to win, but because it upsets the right people.
Yeah.
Imagine having upset the right people money, eh?
Yeah.
I'd like to have keep my head above water money. That would be nice.
Yeah, I would love some of that as well.
Imagine having millions to spend on being a troll.
Imagine if any of us had like fuck you money. Imagine the damage we could fucking do.
I mean, Wayne, you've literally just summed up the political problem that every country has. Right? It's profitable.
Because there are people who have that money and will use it.
Yeah, it's profitable to be a prick, and exploit things. None of us are going to do that.
No.
Right? So, yeah.
This is why we need to set up the Parody account, which is going to be the Tory Social.
I think we should do Tory Social and just do it and do it like, pretend that it's legit, like not even make a big thing about it being a parody, but it is a parody.
Yeah.
Like, we know it's a parody, but no one else does. But the problem is, if we did it, people would recognise us and go, hang on. Also, Labour Social.
We all have to wear suits with really bad fitting tyres.
That's not a problem.
Like wear our suits.
All clothes don't fit me, so that's not an issue at all.
So I think I'm right in this that Lawrence Fox raised £5 million, right, for his mayoral
something race. Like that.
Wow.
How is it possible to spend that much money on a mayor?
Well, he apparently stole a MacBook.
It costs a lot of money.
I mean, also, if you go through this, I mean, it's and this LBC thing that's talking about the way this says basically when he turns up to reclaim HQ, I didn't even know they had a HQ.
Yeah, apparently he's a right now.
He says it's like
I'm trying to say.
Yeah, he makes things worse. It says he swans in. He's an arrogant prick. Then he pisses off for a long lunch. So I mean, you can probably spend a lot in like some sort.
Allegedly, he stole from at 11, then proceeds to go out for lunch at 12, followed by a nap at 2 because he's so worn out.
Work ethic.
My favorite revelation from that article is that they have no members. I kind of love that.
Well,
but also, of course, Reform
UK
doesn't have any members.
They have some for legal purposes. I think it's now.
But they're shareholders. That's different.
No, they actually have members, but they don't have that. Their supporters aren't members.
Yeah,
so there's
exactly.
like 5 members.
Yeah.
I think it was 3, but I think they've let Ben Habib and Al Widdicombe be members as well.
But they don't have a membership. Like none of their candidates. So this is the weird thing. Like none of their candidates are going to be members of the party.
No.
It's such a weird. Like, how is that?
So that's what I mean. Like whenever they say
that, it's a business.
When they want to become, if they want to become a serious political party, it's like they're not. That's why I keep thinking, really, they've probably just got short-term aim with this.
Yeah.
Because they're not setting themselves. They're not setting up the infrastructure. I mean, you can sort of see what they're trying to avoid. They're trying to avoid what happened with UKIP, which is you'll just end up being swamped with loonies. But I can't understand why people thought that Reclaim UK could be a thing, because I keep saying, so you've already got, I mean, if you imagine the voters you're trying to appeal to, so you've got, you need the sort of voters, first of all, who will vote for someone who cannot possibly win. There are voters who do that. It's a minority, but there are people who will vote, and then vote for more credible ones that can't possibly win. So then you've got a smallish pool, because most people in a general election, say, or whatever, will vote for one of the candidates that can realistically win. So you've got a small group. Then you've got to shrink that pool down further into people who sort of agree with your frankly crazy ideas. Then you've got to attract the sort of people who won't vote Reform UK, or they won't vote UKIP. So you're getting the dregs already. So how did they think it was going to work anyway? But the idea in this article that Lawrence Fox got jealous of Andrew Bridgen because he was technically a bigger name in politics because he was already an MP.
Imagine
and then
being jealous of Andrew Bridgen.
And that's Andrew Bridgen, who
it's going to be a dark day in hell before I get to that.
Who blocked his own wife on Twitter this week.
He did. Andrew Bridgen blocked his own wife on Twitter after she tweeted a few things. One of which was, "What about the crimes you've committed?" ?
Oh, Jesus.
So
I couldn't possibly comment.
So I mean, basically, Lawrence Fox is like a Boris Johnson wannabe, isn't it? He just wants to swan about, being a prick, and for people to throw adulation his way. It's like the worst midlife crisis ever.
Okay, do you know what? It's you saying that, like him trying to be the Boris Johnson. That reminds me of your man in America, Vivek, who basically tried to be a young brown Donald Trump, and then he shit the bed. And then as soon as he shit the bed and like gave up, the first thing he did was like, I really like Donald Trump. He's my guy. He's basically just pandering for a fucking job in the government.
Chris Christie, who somehow was the most sensible of all the candidates this time around, right? Having been one of the worst, like in 2016. He basically stood there, didn't he, and called them all out. And one thing he said was like, "You're all just auditioning to be VP." Like,
that's exactly it. But the hypocritical thing about Chris Christie doing that is he did the same thing in 2016.
Yeah. But I think the irony is that they're probably none of them are going to be picked, right?
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah,
you pick your running mate to appeal to a group you don't appeal to.
Yeah.
So you don't pick a clown. That'd be ridiculous.
I guarantee he picks Tucker Carlson to be at some point of the administration, because let's face it, the way that
not gonna win.
Biden's going, the way that Biden's going. He's off.
There was some quite disturbing news on CNN just before we came on about the fact that Fani Willis, or Farney Willis as they seem to call her, who's she's bringing the prosecution against Trump in Georgia, apparently she's having an affair with the lead prosecutor in the case.
But isn't she the
really?
one that she put the gag order on him and then didn't enforce it? Is that the same one, or is that the New York one?
No, this is.
Is she the one that forgot to ask for a jury?
No, that's Trump's. That's Trump's lawyer. No, this is the woman who's bringing the prosecution, the DA who's bringing the prosecution against Trump in Georgia. She is having a relationship with the lead prosecutor.
Well, I think she's the one that slapped the gag order on him, said that he's not allowed to say anything defamatory or intimidating witnesses or anything like that, and then he immediately started tweeting about people.
But she can't stop him. It's the judges who have been saying, "Can you stop saying defamatory stuff?" and getting your people to send us death threats and things like that.
But didn't you say she was the judge?
No. She's the DA. She's the DA.
So
she brought the charges against him, and then you got the prosecutor who actually stands up in court.
Oh, so she's the district attorney.
Yeah,
she's supposed to be completely neutral, and then it's the judges that are adjudicating over the case.
I mean, she doesn't have to be neutral, but she's she brings the case, so I guess she's not neutral because she's like, this guy's a wrong one. He tried to subvert democracy in our state and in our the whole.
I mean that whole case in Georgia, it's just so nailed on. If he gets away with that, if he worms away with that,
I think he will. I think he'll get away with it all. I think he's going to be president.
I think he is, but I think America, and Scott, you can speak to this. I think America's ego will not allow their president to go to prison.
I don't think it's about that. I don't think it's about ego. I think
he won't win, so it doesn't really matter.
I think he will win.
I think he'll win
because this is the Republicans' last chance saloon. If they don't win this time,
and he's not going to win.
Yeah, that's again. That's a good motivator to get people out and vote against Trump.
I know, but
you've got that.
You're fighting against the money.
No. There's plenty of money on the Democrat side as well.
The Tories have won the last 4 elections in this country because there's 177 billionaires in this country and they all vote Tory. In America, you have a very, very, very rich people and they are all Republican.
Yeah, but
they do not want the Democrats
don't like Trump.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
I think there's lots of things the Democrats have got going for them. Not the least of which is that Trump's just not really ahead in the polls.
But then you've got people like RFK, Cenk Uygur, people like that are going and trying to disrupt it, trying to take votes away from Biden. And I think if they get enough of a message out, I mean, they're never going to win. Neither of those guys are going to win.
No, but they can take enough votes from Biden, which I think they're going to do. And I think that the Democrats are mad for putting Biden in again. They should have got someone,
especially with the mirror image that we're getting over here with the rebellion of the Muslim vote against Keir Starmer.
Ah, no, don't exist. New polling out again. Like there was
really?
It's completely conflated on social media by people who want you to believe it. It's all bollocks. There was polling. There was. Sorry.
I was just saying, what's the detail? Yeah, go on.
All right. Well, there was. I've got to find it now. There was polling. I have written it down somewhere. There was polling like last November, which basically said, in fact, the vast majority of Muslims were like the vast majority were going to vote Labour, but there was a massive chunk going to vote Conservative. Even it's not an issue for them. It's a foreign issue, and most people, it's like, and also what this polling was showing was that most people just want, a peaceful solution. They don't want to take sides as such. They just want a peaceful solution. I've got a bastard find it now. Bollocks.
Should we talk amongst ourselves?
I think, I mean, so
this might be quicker if I just go through my tweets and look at
the whole thing about, Trump's going to lose, I mean, over here, at the local elections recently, of course, the Tories were basically saying, look, we're going to lose loads of seats, obviously with the idea of trying to increase turnout for them, right? And so, we could be increasing turnout for Trump by, being complacent, essentially.
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
Yes, and also Democrats might not show up, right? And the same thing could happen here with the Labour Party doing so well in the polls. People might not feel the urgency.
Well,
For the
there's
Labour
an extra
Party
carrot there.
for the Labour Party to have an equal chance because of first past the post, they need to be about 15% ahead to have an equal chance.
It's not quite, but they need to be ahead. So this is, I mean, this isn't specifically Muslim polling here, but it's of the people planning to vote Labour. It says just 3% of those planning to vote Labour picks the party not being pro-Palestine enough from a list of potential hesitations about voting Labour, and 1% saying not being pro-Israel enough. So it's like a really small proportion. Even if you had a lot of it concentrated in one or two areas,
someone said in the chat about Labour rolling back on their £28 billion promise for green investment, and I think we should address this because they haven't said they're not going to be spending the money. They've actually said this is what we're going to be spending the money on, rather than just giving an arbitrary target.
What they shouldn't. They've cocked it up in terms of how they presented
Labour comms. Can we talk about Labour comms?
So what they've done is they said this £28 billion thing, right? And then the massive hole got blown in the economy. They said it too early, too far out from the election. And the thing is, they didn't even have £28 billion worth of spending promises anyway. So people will assume, like, we can say, oh, you know, it's going to be something like 25 or something like that. Well, that's still £3 billion of investment gone. It's like, well, no, it's not, because in terms of their policies, they only worked out how they're going to spend 10 billion of it anyway. So there was loads of it they hadn't got plans for. Now, that's still not to say it isn't really easy to come up with it. If they want to invest £28 billion and they can find something to invest £28 billion in, it's really easy. Don't put up your taxes at all, because you borrow for it. And then by the time it comes time to sort of pay the piper, you've grown the economy to the point where your debt has still come down as a share of GDP, and the extra tax revenues are paying it off for you. And that's what they're still going to do. What they're doing at the moment is purely about election framing. They're going ahead with it. Starmer yesterday still took, like, people keep pointing at the fact, oh, Rachel Reeves and Jonathan Reynolds aren't really wanting to talk about it now, this 28 billion. Keir Starmer said it again yesterday. Our aim is to get up to £28 billion a year. So what they've decided belatedly, and they should have decided this a long time ago, is instead of talking about a specific sum of money, they should have just said, we're going to do the Great British Energy, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and these are our policies. Because at the moment, that adds up to about £10 billion a year.
Much harder to attack as well, right?
Yes. So they've cocked it up. At the end of the day, it's not a serious problem, because the vast majority, I mean, on social media, it's all going everywhere in the political news and all. But for most people who are just going to turn up and vote, it's like, what? Okay, fine. What? We're not, what are you on about? So it's not going to be an issue. They've cocked it up. Hopefully they've learned. I suspect they haven't.
No, they haven't.
Because
Labour comms, man.
Yeah,
Labour comms.
Because they should have, as soon as the Guardian published that thing yesterday, they should have come straight out. They should have come straight out and produced some sort of clarification.
Do you know?
So they're still in a mess. But
what Labour are like a really good movie that's shit, and you're watching it going, everything about this should be brilliant. The script is good, the dialogue's good, the acting's good, the cinematography is amazing, but it just doesn't work as a film. And you're like looking at it going, if I had the same cast, the same script, the same cinematographer, I could make something so much better.
Basically, what you're saying, Graham, is you would make Titanic where they avoided the iceberg.
No, I'd make Titanic, because that made $2 billion at the box office, and it allowed us to make a shitload of art house movies that I'm more interested in, and they wouldn't have been made had it not been for Titanic. So I don't have a problem with Titanic doing really well, and plus it gave us the memes.
No, I mean, I'm going to be biased because it's the industry that I work in. But if Labour came out and said, "Look, we're going to insulate as many houses as we can. We're going to put solar panels on here. We're going to put EV chargers here and do that," that would then get investment in those people that are sitting there with money to invest. And we're going to have some of that. Because we've done so many free to home schemes where it's like we go to like a housing estate or a housing association. We put all the solar panels on their houses, and what happens is the residents benefit from the free electric, and the surplus that goes back to the grid goes back to the investor. So yes, it's a long-term investment, but that house is now super energy efficient, and someone's getting paid for it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's things like that people don't want to do, especially because we are so sort of cucked by big oil and big gas. They don't want to do it.
No.
They're slowly adapting because they know it's coming. But if we was to just invest in something like renewable, that means, you know, we're having money coming in year after year after year for multiple years, not just short term.
And that's the real energy security, because, you know, your energy bills then don't suddenly randomly go up because someone shits the bed in the Middle East.
Exactly. Yeah, or Putin just goes mental.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the Tories have really great comms. They just do. Even when they muck up,
They're talking props are messing it up now.
Well, yeah, but I mean that they manage to control the narrative in a way that the left do not.
Yeah, but Graham,
they never do.
Graham, you've also got to remember how many people in the media they've got on board as well.
Well, yeah, that's the reason.
But that is actually it. The problem.
Femi and I were talking about this afternoon. We were saying, you know, it was so frustrating during the Brexit wars seeing these dickheads go on TV and not being challenged for their lies.
Yeah, but it's not just here. It's also in the States. Remember when they turned away from a Bernie Sanders speech to focus on an empty Trump lectern?
Yeah,
he weren't even there.
There was like 100,000 people at that Bernie speech as well. Like it was one of the really big ones.
Yeah,
and they cut away. Yeah,
it's shocking. But we're literally doing the same thing over here. I say it all the time. America sneezes, we catch a cold. It's terrible.
But like 31 Blaze making a point about the banking bonus, which Rachel Reeves dropped the ball on this week as well. And it's like, that is an easy win for Labour. Like the bankers aren't going to vote for Labour. Nobody likes the bankers. You know, it's like the olden days when everyone in the village knew the banker. All right, mate. You know,
the thing is, it's
a Wonderful Life.
It's not an average. It's specifically bankers that are already getting bonuses up to the cap, which is more money than we'll make in like 10 years.
Yeah,
but it's
in our lifetimes.
Well, but I don't. I'm trying to work it out. I'm genuinely trying to work it out. I try not to go, oh, that's a stupid policy. Why did they do that? I'm actually trying to work it out, and I cannot work it out. Obviously there's no votes in it. There's not enough of those bankers to vote for them, and they're not in like parts of the country they needed to chase anyway. So you must think, okay. And do you know what? I was going to this morning. I completely forgot. I was actually going to write to the Labour press office to fight. So I asked them, what the fucking hell was this about then? Because I was saying, look, it can't be about votes because that'd be retarded. So that means it must be about the economy. You must think there'd be an economic payout. But there's not, is there? Because you can't even say you'll tax it for it because they're really good at tax avoidance schemes.
Yep.
You know, Sajid Javid very famously took advantage of his Goldman Sachs little deal, didn't he? Where he got out of paying a load of tax. Oh, no, actually, no. Hang on, I might be maligning him. Did he? Or did he turn it down or something? But the fact that these schemes are available, they're really good at getting away. So there's no economic argument for it. The reason these things were brought in the first place was to avoid reckless behaviour. Yeah. Because, on a small scale, I knew this sort of thing was happening because a friend of mine at the time was working for Royal Bank of Scotland in like the loans department, telling me that people were accepting people for car loans, stuff like that. And they weren't meeting the criteria. They're just giving it because they got commission. That's all there's to it.
I'm interested in just how it works. I'd like to know. So each day, do all the shadow cabinet, do they all get together on Zoom or something? And they have someone who is the Svengali, the person who tells them what to say when they're being interviewed and things.
Well,
and they say, right, you're not allowed to say X, you're not allowed to say Y, you're not allowed to say Z. Like, I'm thinking of a few cases in the last couple of weeks. We had Suella Braverman stand up and go and bang on about the European Court of Human Rights, which is a court that we are part of because we are part of Europe. And the European, the Council of Europe. And it was referred to as a foreign court by Braverman because she was othering. She was trying to make it sound like this is a French court telling the British what they could do.
Yeah.
And someone stood up on the other side. I don't know who it was, but I'm assuming it was Labour. And they said, and I thought, great, they're going to stand up and point out that it's not a foreign court. But instead of doing that, they said, what's wrong with it being a foreign court? And I was just like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, but they don't do that with backbenchers, though. Like, you do have a Svengali, you have basically Sue Gray, and you have, there are a couple that brief any shadow ministers that are going to be doing the rounds because they have to talk from the same home book. But backbenchers don't pay any attention anday, so they certainly don't do it with them.
Okay, all right, well, front benchers then. So in Prime Minister's questions this week, Rishi Sunak made four times in the comments, in his replies, he mentioned the £28 billion that Labour plan to spend on green matters. No, that's where Rishi Sunak, Keir Starmer should have said, we are not spending that money, we are investing that money in this country and the people of this country. And why they don't say it, it's infuriating.
With the PMQs,
version of the Golden Compass they made.
Yeah, with the PMQs, I think it's a long-term strategy he's had not to get sidetracked. So he ignores what they say. He's done it for a long time, and I think it's deliberate to avoid getting, because I'm a bit of a bugger for getting side. I think he's just scared. No, I'm just focused on my message. You say what you like, but I'm just going to make.
I think that's really important. Like, you've got some things to put across. You've got a national stage. Get them across. Get the sound bites in. Make sure that the topics you want to bring up are the ones that got heard. And from them, you're going to get nonsense back anyway, right?
Yeah, but it's not for them. It's for the audience. It's for the people at home. It's the people, people clipping it and putting it on social media. Get that clip. We're not spending this money. We are investing this money.
Yeah, but they can do that themselves anyway. They could just do that. Keir Starmer can just, after every PMQs, just go.
Yeah, why don't they?
I know they. Why don't they? He could just do what Femi does sometimes, or Peter Stavanovich. He can say, right, this is the 5 ways Rishi Sunak was talking shit to you today. And he could just do that, and it'd go back. Well, he shouldn't use that language. Although he has used that language.
I think he should use that language.
Yeah, he could use it.
It would get shared more.
He could do that, and it would go viral. He could do that every week. Just a short clip, but they don't do it because they're stupid.
Get me in there. I'll be like, who is this fucking mug talking to? Shake things up.
He could easily do that.
Essex.
He could do that. He could literally do what Peter Stavanovich does, and it would do better because he's the leader of the opposition.
Because you're not allowed to call someone a liar in there. But
call him outside. You can call him outside.
Who was the Labour MP, and she got told off for
Dawn Butler, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, Brent, sorry.
She got told off for saying something, and then the SNP leader used the word arse, and he was told to, excuse me.
Thing is,
we don't like that language in here.
That's very good, actually. Nice Lancashire accent you got there, but
it sounds the same to me.
But no, there are good reasons not to be able to do that, because otherwise you'll never get any debates in Parliament. You'll just call each other bastards. But you can do it outside, not a problem. I mean, the reason why Butler said what she said, she didn't say it because she wanted to call him a liar. It was like Friday afternoon, there was no sod there. She did it to create a news story, to draw attention to it. That was what she did it for, and that was fine. And they all filled their boots, didn't they, after the Privileges Committee report to Boris Johnson came out. Oh, Boris Johnson, because at that point it was proven, and Lindsay Hoyle had to say, "Well, I'm going to have to allow you to say he's a liar for this because this document said he is."
And that was after
he did sort of say
MP anymore, was he? At that point,
he had quit. He had quit. But Lindsay Hoyle did sort of say, fill your boots now, but don't carry on saying it for too long. But yeah, I'm going to have to let you have a pass on this one. So they all did. They all just basically stood up as if they were just at this pent-up thing. Boris Johnson's a fucking liar.
I always loved when Lindsay Hoyle used to call Ian Blackford, and he went full Lancashire, and it was like, Ian Blackford. There was no CK in it. It was just BLAT.
Well, that's what it is. I mean, in Yorkshire, we don't pronounce the T ever.
We don't pronounce T's in like it's water down here. A glass of water.
Yeah. I've actually wondered. I don't know if there's any linguists here. I've always been curious about this. H drop-ins all over the country.
Yep.
And yet in England, I've never known anyone from Scotland or Wales drop their H's. And I don't know if that is because I sometimes will say to people, what is it that's idiosyncratically English? I can't really think of anything. And then sometimes I think, is that it? I've not really hear people in Scotland or Wales do it.
But it's mad to think that, like, if you take like Manchester and Liverpool, where they're like 30 miles away from each other, but the accents are so
that's because
harsh and it's mad.
It's not. It's because our culture, our civilization developed before the trains. Whereas in America, there's maybe fewer differences. But, here, like all of these things set up, I keep saying it's not just accents, just words. I often say, round me, you go 10 miles around me, there's 3 different words for alley, and alley is not one of them. No one says alley. Where I grew up, it's a snicket. Where I am now is not far. It's about 10 miles out. It's a gunnel. You go another 5 miles down the road, it's a 10-foot.
Right, those 3 words I've never heard in my life.
No, because you won't do. Because this is all around North Lincolnshire and South Yorkshire.
10 foot from 10 foot.
10 foot, yeah.
Yeah. 10 foot.
No, we've got Cockney rhyming slang down here, and that's hard enough to get rid of that.
But you have a lot of regional variations. I think they get smoothed out a lot these days because a lot of people just watch American telly. But I mean, there was someone on, I don't know if this is, it's a word that no one knows, so it can't be offensive. It is sort of offensive. It's a sort of word, if it was more widespread, you wouldn't use these days. But there was something on Facebook, and a mate of mine from school talked about a jid. And there was other people on Facebook, what the hell is that? And we're thinking, well, this is just because it's basically a scruff. And it's like, but it doesn't seem to exist very far out.
Yeah.
And there'll be words
That's
from
strange, That's the word chav originated from Chatham in Kent, and then it just went nationwide.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's because you don't get too many people making like TV shows about Doncaster. We had Open All Hours, but that was like 2 people from London pretending to be from Doncaster.
That's what we do.
Whereas basically, because people can't be asked to schlep from London, so they go, oh, let's just make a TV show in Essex instead. So then the Essex culture goes everywhere, and then no one knows what people from Doncaster are on about.
Yeah, but
why we end up pretty electing people like Simon Fletcher.
But we all know what Runcorn's about, because that was a setting for 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps. Which was...
Runcorn's a very strange place.
It's
a secret world of Alex Mack. There's a big chemical factory there. We don't talk about people from Runcorn.
I think 3 webbed fingers.
Yeah. But I mean, there's a bunch of words that we say in Liverpool that are just, very, very Scouse.
Where you're living now, I mean, like in the northeast, half of it's Danish.
Yes.
Well, they've actually got a local accent here in Durham, which is different from Geordie. It's called Pitmatic. Right. So technically, what Billy Elliot's speaking in the movie is actually Pitmatic. It's not.
Right.
But even because a lot of people can't differentiate between sort of like Geordie, Mackham, Durham, and Borough, because there's so many things that sound similar. It's very hard to sort of like differentiate. But if you live there, you'll hear the little inferences, you'll hear the little nuances. But most people would just be like, because if you meet a Geordie and you call them a Mackham, they want to punch you in the face, and vice versa. And then you'll get some, no, mate, I'm from Middlesbrough. What are you talking about?
But the thing is, I mean, with the Mackhams and the Tackhams and Sunderland and Newcastle, I mean, they do sound very, very similar, whereas a Scouser and a Manc, to me, sound very, very different. So if someone thinks I'm from Manchester, I'm like, are you kidding me? Really? I
don't
get angry. I just get kind of like confused. Like, how can you think I sound like that?
I have known some people from North Wales who sound a bit Scouse as well.
Yeah, it's just borderline, isn't it?
Loads of Scousers around North Wales, sort of in real and stuff. We're the as I always say, we're the Irish that couldn't afford the passage to America, and we're the Australians who never got caught.
Because have you heard the true Essex accent? They sound like they're from Cornwall.
Really? What? You made that up?
No, straight up, mate.
Do they sound like pirates?
Pretty much.
I'd be a pirate from Essex.
like proper, like they may as well be. Who's your man from Reef? Was it Gavin from Reef?
Gavin, yes,
Yeah.
who went out with the woman from No Doubt.
Gwen Stefani. Oh no, no, you're thinking of Gavin Rossdale.
Rosdale from Bush.
Yeah, Bush.
Yeah, Bush.
He was married to her for years.
Who are you
Yeah.
talking about?
Do you remember Reef? Oh, bless your hands.
Oh, I hated them. It's
his
Your
name was
Letters.
Gary.
They sang the It's Your
The
Letters
singer's
song
name was
for
Gary.
TFI Friday.
Was it Gary?
Gary
Yeah.
is the singer of Reed. I can't remember his last name. It is Gary Reed.
I never cared for Reef.
Neither did I.
Yeah, they were one of them one-hit wonders in that sort of era.
I wasn't keen on Keen.
Gary
Top
Stringer.
loader. Gary
Oh.
Stringer, that's him. Yes.
Not only a top load of shite, but that song was a cover version.
I know.
Was it?
Yeah.
It was a 70s disco hit.
Do you know, I hate hearing like songs and I think, oh, this is a lovely song, and then you find out it's a cover.
His
Yeah.
voice just annoyed the hell out of me.
So even
Well,
like,
I mean, it's one of those other things. So I was at the Heebie-Jeebies once in Liverpool, and asked the DJ to play "Message to You, Rudy" by the Specials, and he went,
Right.
"Well, I might play the original version," and I was like, "No way, I wanted the."
oh,
But it was that kind of like, oh well, you know, that's the cover version.
as we're going down these weird little wormholes, I was watching some random documentary about Boney M the other day.
Yes, because he died. He died. The guy died.
Yeah,
the
well,
week,
no,
didn't he?
but I didn't realise that the geezer who put them together, Boney M, were like the original Milli Vanilli.
Yes, and
They
then
were
he went on to
completely
make
completely fake
Milli
band.
Milli Vanilli, who didn't even sing their own songs. Never mind write them. They were just the fun people.
Yeah, so the front man from Boney M, he used to just lip sync because it was a producer that put all the songs together and sung all
Yeah.
the lyrics. He was
Yeah.
just out there as a front man.
It's just a weird little German guy who was
Yeah.
like, right, here's the song.
Because the weird thing was when I was describing, because my ears pricked up, I was just sitting, I wasn't really watching it, and it was just on, and then all of a sudden he said, "Oh, and you got this singer from Montserrat," and I was like, "What?" I was like, that's where my old man's from. That's like fucking hell. So this little bird from Montserrat is becoming a big, massive pop star in Germany, but she's a fraud.
Wow,
Brilliant.
The only pop story I'm following at the moment on TikTok, E17 are fighting, and
What?
Brian Harvey is having a major meltdown, and it is
he had
hysterical.
the meltdown years ago, mate.
Brian Harvey-
Yeah, no, but Brian Harvey's
he
melting
ate-
down again.
He ate a greasy baked potato and ran over his own head.
Yeah.
Brian Harvey's
I
got to be at least
shouldn't laugh,
17 for
but I will.
about 10 years.
No, but Brian
Yeah.
Harvey now is like saying about
He ran over his own head.
how Tony Mortimer sexually assaulted him, how Tony
Oh.
Mortimer was also raped, and the other bit. I know he's lost his mind, he's gone crazy, and the other guy kind of like, "Shut up, bro!" Like, people
There
won't
was,
say this.
I'm not going to put him over because I don't know how true their stuff is, but he was on loads of these documentaries that was all about sort of like the media and like paedophilia and all that sort of stuff. Back in the day, him and Daniela Westbrook were going into these clubs and they were
They're
seeing like
fighting.
people getting off with kids. Yeah,
They're fighting now
just-
as well. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like they've joined the TikTok drama of the TikTok creators. It's hysterical. It's very funny. It's very
yeah.
funny.
But Brian Harvey's he was replaced by Robbie Craig, who used to sing for Artful Dodger.
Right.
So like the E17 lineup you see now is
Oh,
Robbie Craig.
Yeah. The other two.
It's Robbie Craig, Terry, and John. And
Yeah.
Terry and John were brought in as dancers. They can't even sing,
Yeah.
so they
right.
just basically go on stage and mime.
I love the way Josh and Phil are just like, what the hell are you guys talking
Well,
about?
exactly.
they're
That's
busy
the way
checking their
pop
emails.
star drama.
The only segue I could come up with these people going loony in the later life was Fred Hoyle, which is why he was denied the Nobel Prize for Physics. He's one of the most brilliant scientists we ever produced, and his work won a Nobel Prize.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, by then he'd gone completely loopy, and he was going around convincing people that viruses were invading us from space. So they couldn't really give him the Nobel Prize because he'd stand up and give a
There's
speech.
always one.
So, like, they had to give it to 3 other people who were much, when he was basically the person who really drove the work. But it's just because he'd gone off his head.
You guys, I'm gonna chip off. It's been on there for a couple hours now. So
yeah, I was gonna say I was supposed to sign off about half an hour ago. So yes, we'll all go, Scott. So hang on for a moment because
I will do.
If that's okay. So thank you so much for joining us. Thanks to Phil and to Josh and to Wayne and to Scott, and also thanks to Aid who was with us earlier, and Ollie who was with us earlier as well. No Super Tansky this week, but we're going to try and coax them into the Labour Social next week.
We've got to go and get her from A&E from her injury.
for the IKEA assembly injuries. Oh my word! So thank you very much for watching this episode of the Labour Social on Labour Social, and thanks obviously for all the chat and the super chats and all that jazz. And until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.